Welcome to a 2020 wedding. As you can see, I'm wearing a mask because Oregon law, as well as Washington law, is that as an individual, or particularly a vendor, you must wear a mask when attending an event inside. So therefore, I'm wearing one. If you're outdoors, you don't necessarily need one. That is, at least in Oregon. But you also are going to want to listen to what your client wants in the end. Does your client want you to wear a mask the whole time? Yes or no? A thing to keep in mind is you can remove it when you consume a beverage or you need to eat some food. So you're not going to have to keep it on the whole time. It is not the most comfortable thing, quite honestly, to wear the whole thing the whole time. It's definitely something you're going to want to wash and sanitize after you wear it too, because it's going to get full of sweat. And the germs that are, or virus that potentially could have gotten on it are going to be there too. So you want to make sure you clean your mask when you're done working. This is the DJ setup in particular. So what we've done now is we have stanchions here that are each 6.5 feet. So it's a little bit more than the social distance of 6 feet that's required by governments and CDC standards. These stanchions are great because the DJ can easily either unhook and walk around and go through, or they can easily just do this. But regardless, it gives you that 6 feet that you need when you're DJing from the guests and whatnot. This marquee is great because we have the DJ's phone number or Google Voice number on there, so the guests can text you requests. So as a DJ, you don't have to worry about the booklet anymore. All you have to do is have guests text it to you, and then you can put it on your queue in your DJ software and make sure that it actually gets played, or if it doesn't fit in to what you want to play, you play it later on. Other thing to note too, beyond these items, is that when we do toast nowadays, for one, we're going to want to have 2 mics, just because anytime anyone else uses a mic, you're going to have to clean it and sanitize it, not just clean it. So you'll have to take the antiviral wipes to it and clean off the whole mic and then hand it over to someone. So in a way to avoid that, you just have 2 mics. The DJ uses 1 mic for themselves the entire day, and then the guests use this one. For toast, all the DJ needs to do is adjust it for the guests before they go. And then obviously you want it cleaned and sanitized before they use it. Let them use the mic. When they're done, you gotta wait for the next person to go. You adjust the mic stand for them, wipe it down, clean it, then let them go, and maybe you'll make your announcement, introduce the individual, and let them speak. But there won't be any passing of the mic this year, just because of the pandemic, as well as toast will probably go a little bit slower because it's going to take us some time to wipe it down, and you're going to have to get a fresh new wipe each time. So you can't just use the same wipe over and over again. In terms of washing your hands, how often you should wash your hands? That's the question. Fairly often, but when you should wash your hands is probably the most concerning. So after you arrive at the venue and you get set up, you probably want to wash your hands then. If you engage or touch any other individuals, you're going to want to wash your hands. A classic example is you might do a fist bump, or say you did shake your client's hand, then go out and wash your hands after that. And before you touch their hands as well. So it's a lot of thought to think about in terms of the washing the hands before you eat any food. Other times of washing hands, obviously after you use the restroom. If you touch any other items, so say someone comes over and they leave a drink by your table and you need to grab it and move it. Well, when you go to move that drink, you technically have touched someone else's item, and you potentially could get something spread onto your hands. So that's when you're gonna want to wash your hands again. So you're gonna want to be conscious of your movements, your actions when you're at an event. We're still gonna try to keep 6 feet away, just like it says here, fun at 6 feet apart. That's something to think about when you're working around. Might have to do some hand signals with guests, be able to get people's attentions. You're gonna probably have to project your voice more too, because people aren't gonna necessarily hear you through the mask. All right, other things to think about is your personal protective equipment, or PPE. You're gonna wanna have some rubber gloves, because you never know if you're gonna need to move something or whatnot. That would be most useful is if you have to remove a beverage real quick and then you don't have a chance to go wash your hands right afterwards, or you need to move something else that someone else may have touched. A pair of rubber gloves will work great. You touch it, move it, and then you got to make sure you discard or throw out those gloves. But in a pinch, they're good and useful. Hand sanitizer, definitely want to have that. Got to remember to wash your hands. You're also going to want to have a mask. Find a mask that's comfortable that you can wear a long time, because that's going to be key. I myself was providing some for our DJs. If you want to use one of mine, you can. They're black, they're just like this. It's the exact same model here. It goes over your ears like that. It's honestly not that bad, but the issue is just wearing a mask the whole time. It gets kind of hot underneath here, your face sweats, and you can see it a little bit here, just so you can see that my face is sweating a bit. So it is not the most comfortable thing to wear. So another thing to think about is how are we gonna mic people up for ceremonies? You know, obviously the lapel's on here, and usually we just go in, or at least in my experience, I don't know what you guys all do, but I usually will hold the mic and put it on the person and then run it through their shirt and have it drop it down or put it in their pocket. So the way you do it is not going to work in this pandemic anymore. So what you're probably going to want to do is give them the lapel and have them put it all on there themselves and then instruct them how to do it from 6 feet apart, okay? You're going to want to remind them where the power button is and how to clip it on. That's an alligator clip, but things like that. It's going to be more about instruction than your own application. So something to think about and remember. So number one, when you come to DJ, you want to make sure that you're not sick. So it's ideal to check your temperature. Make sure you don't have a temperature that's over 100.4 degrees. That's one of the key signs of knowing whether you are actually sick or could potentially be sick. So keep that in mind. Check your temperature before you do a gig. If for some reason you do have a temperature, let us know right away and we will get someone else on the event for you. At the end of the night, you're gonna wanna make sure you sanitize all your equipment. So even your lapel mic here, you know, you're gonna wanna, after you get it back, you might not have time to clean it. Ideally, it'd be best to be able to do it right away, but if for some reason you don't, put it away, put it in a little baggie, and then get to that afterwards. But you're gonna wanna wipe the whole thing down. You even probably wanna wash the windscreen, which is kind of weird, but, and I'll send you videos on how to clean all this stuff off. You're gonna wanna wipe down your mics at the end of the night. You're going to want to wipe down your gear, anything that anyone could have touched beyond yourself. They even want us, they've instructed us that we have to wipe down all of our gear after or before we get set up. So you want to bring some wipes and whatnot and wipe it down. But it's going to be over there, should be fine. The main thing is that the microphones are what you really want to be diligent about. That's what that's most important in this current climate. Like I said earlier, we do have these stanchions here, but this is something the venue provided us. You will need to provide something for yourselves for this. Some venues will provide it, or rental companies will be able to provide it, and so we'll work on that for each event that you're doing, so that way you have some kind of protection from the get-go. I'm also going to purchase some stanchions too, so that way we have them and you can rent them from us and get them for your event. Another option too is to put some plexiglass, or get a plexiglass stand, and you can put it in front of your gear. It's not as pretty, but and it's also more cumbersome, but you can do it. I don't have an example here that's of the size that we want. So here's an example of some plexiglass. Obviously it's not a DJ setup, but this gives you an idea. You know, this is quite cumbersome and it's a lot bigger than what we'd probably need. The size that we'd need would probably be, I don't know, maybe from here, there. So maybe 3 feet by 4 feet. But you know, who's got the room for that in their car? I don't know. So I really think the stanchion option is the better bet, but I just wanted you to see another option as well.